여러분 반갑습니다. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to K-Culture Dive. I'm Kwon So-wa, and we've got a packed show today from K-Entertainment to AI culture news, K-Culture on site, and a talk with our movie expert. All right, let's dive in. And joining me on today's show is my co-host, Walter Lee. Walter, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Soa, and happy Friday to those joining us on K-Culture Dive. Today, I'm Walter Lee, here to co-host and bring you the latest in K-Entertainment stories.
All right, let's kick off with K-Enter, Walter. And today, we're starting off with director Maggie Kang, who's very well known for K-Pop Demon Hunters. So what's the latest?
Okay, so yes, director Maggie Kang of K-Pop Demon Hunters, which went on to win major honors including 2 Academy Awards and so on, has actually now signed with a Korean entertainment agency as she looks to further expand K-content globally. Kang has joined the Present Company, that's the name of the company, home to fellow Korean-Canadian actor and singer An Hyo-sop and actresses such as Shin Se-kyung and Park So-dam. Now, Kang and An actually previously collaborated on K-Pop Demon Hunters, where An featured as the voice of Jinwoo, the leader of the Saja Boys.
I think it'll be very interesting to see how this deal is going to impact her future work, including the second series of K-Pop Demon Hunters.
Indeed.
But Walter, did the agency release any statement regarding this contract?
They did indeed so. So the Present Company shared that they plan to pursue a wide range of Korea-based projects with director Maggie Kang, and that they anticipate strong synergy with a director who combines creativity with global perspective. She's pretty much known for her refined visual style and nuanced direction. Kang also has extended her influence into the fashion industry as well as cultural spheres. Now, in recognition of her contributions to the global rise of Korean content, she has been awarded a cultural medal, which she much deserved.
Of course. And next, Walter, we're going to talk about Tomorrow by Together because they are dominating domestic and international charts.
Indeed, they are. So according to the latest weekly chart released on Thursday by Circle Chart, TXT's 8th mini album called 7th Year When the Wind Stopped Briefly in the Thorn Bush debuted at #1 on the album chart. Now, the group also stood out in Circle Chart's digital categories. Now, the lead track, Stick With You or Haru에 하루만 더, claimed the top spot on the download chart while also ranking #2 on BGM charts and #3 on digital charts. So all 6 tracks from the album actually appeared on various charts, including the download and global K-pop charts.
Now, Walter, remember recently we talked to someone who told us about the popularity of K-pop in Japan.
Yeah.
So TXT is actually one of those groups that's doing amazing in Japan.
That's correct. So after securing a triple crown on Japan's Oricon's weekly combined album ranking, the group went on to top both Billboard Japan's top album sales and download albums charts. Now, the title track also reached #1 on Line Music's weekly song chart. Lastly, TXT picked up another music show trophy on Wednesday. This is back in Korea, winning first place on popular South Korean live music TV program Show Champion.
And last but not least, another group that's doing well overseas, but probably not the group that you would think of. So who is this mystery group?
We have a lot of groups overseas at the moment, and of course BTS is one of them, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about virtual group Skins, which has recently reached a milestone in the US music market. Now, according to its agency, Bridge Enter, the title track Poison Ivy from the group's debut mini album Skins is Skins entered Billboard's Pop Airplay chart at #40, while also ranking #39 on Mediabase's Top 40 Pop Radio chart. Now, Billboard's Pop Airplay chart is a weekly 40-track chart released by Billboard that ranks the most popular songs played on mainstream Top 40 radio stations across the US.
Now, there must be something special about this virtual group, Walter.
Yeah, I think so because they're one of the first virtual groups to go popular internationally, and they are, they've broken into the mainstream chart based solely on its musical appeal, signaling its potential as a global virtual act. Now, the accomplishment is especially significant as it comes from its very first mini album. The group now aims to broaden its connection with fans worldwide through diverse content and continued engagement.
Well, I think it's very interesting that they have reached this achievement based solely on their musical appeal, as you mentioned, because that means people probably didn't even know that they are a virtual group when they listened to the music.
Of
That's
course.
the point. So thank you very much, Walter, for those updates, and stick around.
Will do.
And now it's time for K-Culture On Site, where we take you to exciting and meaningful places and events across the country. Today, we go over to Gyeongbokgung Palace in the heart of Seoul, where one of Korea's most iconic royal traditions is coming to life. The Royal Guard Changing Ceremony, held twice a day, draws crowds from around the world. So we're now going to connect to Yoon Se-young. So Se-young, what's happening over there?
Hi, Soa, or I should greet like this today. I'm here outside Gyeongbokgung Palace, and all of a sudden it feels like I've stepped back in time. And just moments ago, a deep sound of drums echoed throughout this square, and it has transformed this entire space into a scene from Joseon Dynasty. And behind me, you'll see rows of royal guards who are performing the ceremony in traditional uniforms, and they are moving in a perfect sync. This is Royal Guard Changing Ceremony, a reenactment that shows how the palace guards would serve their duties during Joseon Dynasty, the tradition that dates back over 500 years. And what makes this event even more special is the crowd here today. So let's hear from some of the visitors here today who are experiencing this experience up close.
Honestly, it's very culturally immersing. It definitely opens our eyes and seeing what other cultures are like and exploring it in person. It's pretty amazing.
Very, very connected to the culture, and this makes us feel really good.
Yeah, it's very light, surprisingly. I definitely thought it was going to be a lot heavier, and I'm not hot, so that's good. It's definitely a fun experience to try, and it's worth it.
It's fantastic seeing this in person because I like to watch K-dramas. We're having a lot of fun.
We are very humbled that Chae-young asked us to do this today. We're from America, and we wanted to do exactly what we're doing today. And we have a saying, when in Rome, do as the Romans do.
I feel like a queen, and the reason is because it was part of a Gate 1 tour.
She is the queen, and of course I'm dressed as the king, and we just love this dress.
We do what the queen tells us to do.
I'm studying Korean Tai Chi, so that's why I come over here.
That's right.
All right, I moved a bit closer to the crowd, and from this angle, you will see the ceremony taking place right in front of us. And you will notice the details like the uniforms of the guards and their precise movement, almost like a choreography of the palace guards as they continue to perform this ceremony in sequence. And around me, you will see a lot of crowd, actually a diverse crowd from families with children and students students, and even foreign visitors, and a lot of them are dressed in beautiful hanbok, which makes this entire experience even more special and real. And beyond this spot, you will see a Gwanghwamun Gate, the main entrance to the palace. So this is where the history actually surrounds you, and moments like this where the present and the past meet in real time, it's going to provide you with a very, very unique experience. So I highly recommend you visiting this place if you happen to visit Seoul. This ceremony takes place every day at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. except for Tuesdays, and a special Spring Festival is going to take place starting from tomorrow to May 3rd. So if you're interested in, please come and visit. Reporting live from Gyeongbokgung Palace, I'm Yoon Se-young, and back to you, Soa.
All right, thank you very much, Se-young, for that reporting and bringing that royal tradition to life for us. And the visitors really seem to be enjoying that. Thank you very much. And for more on the culture front, we've got our AI anchor Arang on standby to bring the latest issues. Arang, over to you.
Thanks, Soa. Here's your AI guide to the latest cultural headlines from Korea. Let's begin with our top story. First Lady Kim Hye-kyung, accompanying President Lee Jae-myung on a state visit to Vietnam, is promoting Korean culture in Hanoi. She attended the Korea Culture and Tourism Festival held Thursday at Westlake, a famous tourist destination in the Vietnamese capital, alongside actor Jung Il-woo. Jung enjoys widespread popularity in Vietnam, driven by his role in a Korea-Vietnam co-produced film. They toured exhibition booths promoting Korean cosmetics, food, music, and games, with First Lady Kim actively encouraging locals to show continued interest in Korean products and to visit Korea for a first-hand experience. The number of foreigners visiting South Korea for medical procedures or treatment exceeded 2 million for the first time last year, marking a record high since government data began in 2009. The Health Ministry's report showed that more than 2 million overseas patients sought medical services in Korea last year, with the largest shares coming from China, followed by Japan, Taiwan, the United States, and Thailand. By medical specialty, dermatology accounted for 63% of visits, followed by plastic surgery at 11%, highlighting a heavy concentration in cosmetic treatments. The National Museum of Korea will host a series of family-friendly events during the Children's Day week. From May 2nd to 5th, large-scale installations of Kakao Friends characters, Chun-sik and Ryan, reimagined as the iconic pensive Bodhisattva, will greet visitors. A diverse lineup of special programs is in store for children, including a book fair, hands-on arts and crafts sessions, musical performances, and magic shows. A photo zone featuring the museum's signature white porcelain moon jar will also be set up. That's all from me. Turning now to a quick look at more K-culture stories making headlines today.
One of Korea's signature spring film festivals, the Jeonju International Film Festival, will take place in Jeonju, a city in southwestern Korea, from April 29th to May 8th. Known for its blend of traditional spaces like Hanok villages and modern cultural venues, Jeonju offers a unique backdrop for the festival. Today, we'll take a closer look at this year's lineup and the trends to watch with filmmaker and Professor Jae So from the Seoul Institute of the Arts. Welcome back, Professor So.
Hello, Professor.
Nice to be back.
So, Professor So, I heard that you just went to Jeonju last week, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So, what does the city of Jeonju mean to you?
Well, Jeonju to me, like my first impression was actually the food. I was actually in the military service at the time, and when I was visiting, I just remember the taste of Hyundaeok's 콩나물 국밥, which is, basically bean sprout soup, and then Jeonju bibimbap, which is world famous. But it's not only just the food. I just remember the hospitality of the whole city itself. Like the people that serve you the food are so welcoming, and also if you just go to a regular restaurant in Seoul, you just get a few banchan side dishes. but there it's a myriad of many different side dishes that come out. And not only is that, it's actually a UNESCO recognized city of gastronomy, which means the food is really like top level. And it's a city traditionally, basically, that was the cultural capital of Joseon Dynasty as well, going all the way back to Baekje. So there's a lot of like culture, history, good food, and then the film festival. So I would highly recommend visiting Jeonju.
Yes, I've been, and definitely the food stands out the most, in my opinion. But let's talk about this International Film Festival. What are the key characteristics and significance of the Jeonju International Film Festival, and how would you describe its status within Korea and on the international stage?
Well, the Jeonju International Film Festival, JIF as they call it, basically they're famous for being the most important platform for independent and experimental cinema in Korea. So you would, if you want to, talk about other festivals, maybe the Busan Film Festival is more towards the industry and sort of like bigger scale, East Asian country films. But Jeonju is really about sort of discovering new talent. Most of the festivals do the same thing, but it's also about finding new voices, sort of kind of a new style of filmmaking, and also artistic risk that people take. So there are a lot of movies that are sort of not non-traditional in the sense that there are a lot of documentaries, experimental movies, things like that. So if you are chosen by this film festival, it means you're doing something very sort of, I guess, innovative and different. And I just remember the first opening I went to in 2000, basically. It was like filmmakers now really famous, like Darren Aronofsky had a movie there, and a Japanese filmmaker, which I would, Takeshi Miike, was there as well. So it's sort of like the start of like these directors that were just kind of like branching out into doing sort of indie cinema, and eventually they became part of the mainstream. But the festival itself is just has this feel of independence, freedom, and I really enjoy it in the fact that it's situated in the city of Jeonju as well.
Right. And Professor So, there's always a lot of attention on what's going to be the opening film and the closing film. And I heard that there is a very different tone between those two this time. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. So first of all, like what I heard was that this year, like there's like 287 films from 54 countries, and they've chosen basically one an American film to be the opener, which is called Late Fame by director Kent Jones. And this movie is kind of interesting because it's actually based on a really famous novel by Arthur Schnitzler, and it's a novella that was sort of, basically published way after his death, the writer's death. And it's about a story about like this person who was like having a regular job, and later he's a poet, and then he succeeds sort of in later life, and it's played by William Dafoe. And there's a character named Gloria that, it's like representing the sort of the younger artistic group in New York. And it's played actually a surprising sort of casting by Greta Lee, a Korean. So originally in the story, it really had Americans in it, But so there's an interesting dichotomy that happens between this kind of artist that is in his later years that succeeded with a bunch of young artists that are now just starting their artistic thing. So basically, this movie already played in a lot of festivals in around the world, and so it's done really well. And so I'm really happy it's the opening night film for Jeonju. And then the closing night film is a movie called The Longest Night, Namtaeryong. And this one's a documentary by director Kim Hyun-ji. And basically, this is outlines the story about, basically what happened in the martial law and what happened in 2004. And what happened in this story is basically
2024.
24. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. Recent, yeah. So with the Yoon, basically administration. So basically, in this movie, there's a clash between the protesters and basically the police that happens in the this part of Seoul called Namtaeryong. So right out the outskirts. So it's based on a real story, and what I found really fascinating about it was that basically they used a lot of social media in the story, because Twitter or X comes out prominently in the story as well.
Right, it's pretty striking that I think she's quite a rookie director dealing with this quite recent political issue. So it's very interesting to see how all these tensions are going to be put into a cinematic narrative.
Right. And you mentioned before there are basically like over 200 films that are entering this International Film Festival. Are there any notable movies in your opinion, and what would you say is probably the most trendy themes that are emerging these days?
Well, I want to introduce the international portion. Jeonju started out basically not as a competitive film festival. A lot of film festivals, there's an award, but now they've changed it. So they have two sections where one is international and one is Korean. And in the international section, if you win this, the prize is like $13,000. It's not a small amount. There were submissions from like 421 films for basically from 70 countries, and they chose 10 films. And some of the films that I want to introduce is a movie called Dream of Another Summer by Irene Bartolome. And this is a story about a kind of a surreal documentary set against a backdrop of Beirut, and as you know, right now it's in kind of a war-torn situation. I remember watching the images that are just kind of really haunting of all the war sites, the destruction and things like that. Also, there's a Japanese movie called Michiyuki, and this is a sort of a quiet, memory-driven narrative. It's hauntingly shot in black and white, very Japanese design, and it just feels like a traditional Japanese movie, but it's done in a kind of an experimental style. So that's really interesting. And also, I want to introduce a movie called Chronovisor. And this is a surreal blend of history and science. And it's directed by Jack On. And basically, it's a story that I found it to be just visually stimulating in some ways, and it's based on science, which I also liked. And so many of the films are just sort of, I would say, they take narrative in a different direction. So it's not in the traditional 3-act structure with a character doing it, but we have sort of like documentary or experimental like works, or some of the movies don't even have dialogue. So what I found about it was basically it's a visual sort of stunning experience to watch them in the cinema.
Interesting. And now the Korean competition lineup, I heard that there is a big focus on family rather than social issues.
Yeah. So this time, last year, I think the movies were a lot more political and louder. This year, it's really family-driven. And then basically, out of 10 of the feature films, 4 of them are documentaries. So, again, we're showing Jeonju's sort of colors in that they celebrate documentaries. And one of the films I really was impressed with was a movie called Living Through the Same Season. It's a love story structured around basically the changing seasons in Korea. It's simple and very relatable. It's directed by Ko Seung-hyun. And also there's a documentary called Water Deer. A director follows her mother's sort of working life. And I found this movie fascinating because it's just an everyday sort of feel about somebody that does their daily chores, but we're watching it and it's really kind of engaging. And then there's another sort of movie called Early Spring. Again, movies about family and seasons. And in this one, it's a young woman returns to her hometown, and basically nothing happens in the story, but you're really fascinated by what's going on. And then one of my sort of favorite ones is a movie called Cruel Optimism. And this is directed by Shin Mo-kya, and the visuals are stunning. And it's a critique of the art world through this kind of weird narrative with, it's really designed, all the characters seem like they belong from another universe. And so yeah, the Korean sections are all sort of premieres. So what I found was that there's a overall feel of, as you said, family-oriented, smaller personal matters told with great emotional sort of and formal experimentation. So yeah, check it out for sure.
All right, and we also hear that this year at the film festival, there's a special exhibition in respect honoring late actor An Sung-gi. So could you please tell us more about this program?
Yeah, I've had the pleasure actually of working with the actor. It was my first film that I was an assistant director, and it's called the third assistant director, and I was in charge of the actor sort of. So I spent a lot of time with An Sung-gi. This is back in the 90s, and I just found him to be an actor at that time too. He was really famous for being sort of, I kind of consider him the Harrison Ford of Korean cinema. He's that sort of has that stature, and I just found him to be just engaging, not only in front of the camera, but also just behind, just an upstanding guy that really treated everybody, really well. And it's really sad that he passed away at such a young age in his 70s. And, basically he started acting at the age of 5. as a child actor, and he's in one of my favorite movies, which is by Kim Ki-young, called The Housemaid, and he plays a very prominent role as the little child in the movie. And so this section is going to be called Memorable Films Yet Rarely Seen. So 7 films in the 80s and the 2000s. So we have movies like Our Joyful Young Days by Bae Chang-ho, Men Are Troublesome. There's a movie that I would say it's not really seen a lot. It's by a Japanese director, but it's called Sleeping Man. And in this one, it's really sort of a contemplative look at An Seung-gi from a very different perspective. It's not usually his style. And then basically Unbowed, which was a big hit, towards the end of his life. I find it really I can't believe that he's gone so soon. But he was such a staple of Korean cinema. I would say the history of Korean cinema existed with this actor.
A legendary actor indeed. And I think it is really meaningful to see that the Jeonju International Film Festival is honoring him by not only having focus on the most famous works of him, but also the lesser known works that really shaped his whole career. So that's all the time we have today, Professor So. Thank you very much for your insights, and see you next time.
Thank you,
Professor.
And thank you, Walter, as always. We're going to have you back here next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for watching and for your interest in everything K-Culture. K-Culture Dive will be back on Monday, 2 p.m. Korea time. Have a culture-filled weekend and keep diving.